The lineage dossier. Prince William hits the brakes on Archie's standing, as Harry's genetic data ignites a firestorm. He's your kid, but does he belong to the crown? At exactly 9:07 in the morning, on February 12, 2026, the palace dropped a memo that absolutely rattled the United Kingdom and monarchy buffs across the globe. The announcement, stiff yet sharp as a tack, verified that the Prince of Wales had officially declined to sign off on the private genetic report handed over by his brother. This file was supposed to demonstrate that Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor is biologically Harry's offspring and qualified to get back on the household roster. However, this wasn't just a case of Big Brother being suspicious. This was slamming the institution's door shut, a rule that no kid, not a single one, claiming royal blood, would slide back into the succession lineup without forensic grade proof handled directly by the Crown. Basically, William is demanding a double check, and not just from a lab, but from the monarchy's own spy network. Now the family is locked in a civil war again. The chips on the table are huge, involving the birthright of 2 kids, the reputation of 2 princes, and the future of the monarchy's pure bloodline. The drama kicked off, at least in the public eye, when the Sussex legal squad dropped a massive folder at Clarence House late last week. Insiders say the package was 72 pages thick, featuring a DNA result from a California lab verifying Harry is the dad, a sworn statement from Meghan Markle outlining her pregnancy dates from 2018 to 19, ultrasound scans from a private doctor in Beverly Hills, a copy of the birth certificate, and a notarized letter from a staffer at a Portland hospital. The goal was obvious: get Archie and Lilibet back as official members of the firm after years in exile and pave the way for their restoration to royal privileges, especially since Harry has hinted he wants to come back to Britain after his very public split from Meghan. But William's comeback wasn't just strict, it was clinically cold. According to several palace insiders, William immediately got the Sovereign Succession Security Council back together, a dusty advisory team of lawyers, spies, and archivists usually left alone unless there's a lineage dispute. Within a few hours, William's office put a total freeze on the integration plan, pointing out major glitches and unanswered contradictions. Aides have since leaked the specific reasons for the pushback. A 6-point internal memo, now dubbed the Bloodline Files. These are the red flags William and his crew say were never cleared up. Several photos of Meghan during the pregnancy seem to show her stomach size changing drastically on the exact same day. Investigators for the Crown verified the timestamps. The palace's photo analysis team insists it's not the camera angle, fueling old rumors that she might have used a prosthetic moon bump. Unlike the births of William and Catherine's kids, there isn't a signed note from the royal doctors, Sir Marcus Setchell or Dr. Guy Thorpe Beeston, covering the labor or delivery. No discharge papers were ever filed in the royal archives. Plus, Archie's birth certificate was tweaked almost a month after it came out, swapping Rachel Meghan Markle for Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, while Meghan's team claimed the palace made them do it. William called the edit unheard of and weird, pointing out that Catherine's full legal name hasn't budged on any of her 3 kids' documents. Then there's that first photo of Archie at Windsor Castle. Experts say it was shot with professional studio gear, and staff described the setup as looking more like a Vogue cover shoot than a candid moment. Regular news photographers were banned. Even sketchier, in May 2019, a $500,000 wire transfer was tracked from Archewell LLC to a fertility clinic near the Mexican border, famous for surrogacy and keeping secrets. The cash moved just 5 days before the birth announcement. Insiders say this clinic specializes in all-inclusive private gestational packages. Maybe the biggest smoking gun is a secret audit by former MI6 crypto experts, now working for the palace. They found the Arkwell transfer had hidden notes about a non-disclosure deal between the clinic and a third party. They flagged these notes as proof of a proj, hidden surrogacy contract. William, usually cool and collected, reportedly told his aides, "This isn't about rejecting my brother. This is a firewall to protect the Crown's constitutional credibility." Behind closed doors, though, the tension is through the roof. A source connected to the Privy Council spilled that Prince William has officially slammed the brakes on re-adding his brother's children to the royal roll call, demanding a Crown-sanctioned genetic audit happen on British soil first. While that plays out, Harry is firing back, claiming his brother is weaponizing administrative red tape to stall what he maintains is his birthright. Although Meghan hasn't said a word to the press, her legal team is already making noise, insinuating they might drag this into international human rights courts if the blockade continues. The threat is clear: recognize the kids or face a global legal battle. As the temperature rises, those inside the palace walls are worried this brawl could spiral. There is a growing anxiety that this standoff might force a total transparency audit regarding the Sussexes' dramatic exit back in 2020. We are talking about exposing everything: wire transfers, media deals, and confidential internal correspondence that was never supposed to see the light of day. On the heels of William's absolute refusal to accept the genetic paperwork provided by Harry, the attention has swung violently across the pond. All eyes are now fixed on a California laboratory, an attorney based in Oregon, and a suspiciously scrubbed email that threatens to undo the Sussexes' whole case. Right in the middle of this hurricane sits Horizon Gene Diagnostics, a boutique firm specializing in private testing out of Santa Barbara. Notably, the facility is located less than a 30-minute drive from the couple's Montecito mansion. Harry's lawyers assert that this is where the genetic analysis took place, in the middle of January 2026. The results reportedly came back with a probability higher than 99.999%, confirming Harry as the biological father, specifically regarding Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor. However, William's circle immediately threw a flag on the play, questioning the validity of the procedure. Palace reps pointed out a major flaw. The DNA samples were allegedly hand-couriered by Meghan's former chief of staff rather than a neutral third party. Because there was no verified, tamper-resistant chain of custody, the integrity of the sample is suspect. Making matters worse, Horizon Gene lacks key credentials. The firm does not hold accreditation from the UK Royal College of Pathologists, nor does it meet the ISO 17025 benchmarks. That certification is the global gold standard for forensic labs handling legal evidence. Insiders at the Sovereign Succession Security Council, or SSC, are skeptical. They suggest the whole setup felt engineered to produce a specific outcome rather than uncover an objective truth. The submission was managed by Douglas Hall. Hall is an Oregon attorney who focuses on complex parental rights litigation for families living across international borders. Records examined by The Telegraph indicate Hall didn't just order the lab work. He also lodged a formal request with the UK Privy Council on Harry's behalf. The filing demanded the reinstatement of royal security protocols for Archie and Lilibet, leveraging the paternity test as the primary evidence. But Hall's role is now under the microscope following the leak of an internal memo from his firm, dated January 22, 2026. The Times got their hands on the correspondence, and the content is damaging. The subject line bluntly stated, "We need optics, not science." The body of the email read, "If Horizon Gene cannot rush the results by the 26th, locate a partner lab willing to sign off on pre-analysis validity." It continued, "It does not have to be bulletproof. It just needs to look unimpeachable. We need optics, not science. The palace will only see the paperwork." Hall has not disputed the authenticity of the email. Instead, he issued a hazy statement, claiming the text was ripped out of context while drafting a procedural strategy, throwing gasoline on the fire. William's office released a new sequence of events based on financial tracking and courier logs. The data shows the DNA specimen was flown from Los Angeles to London on January 24th. However, a duplicate sample was simultaneously shipped to a Swiss lab. That second facility in Zurich never received payment and consequently never performed the analysis. Investigators for the Crown argue this proves there was a contingency plan in place, suggesting the Sussex camp expected the UK officials might reject their initial claim. They were likely trying to establish parallel trails of evidence. What looks even worse is that the Zurich lab's internal database flagged the sample as practice use only, with absolutely no official chain of custody established there either. As a high-ranking official at the Home Office whispered, "This does not read like a paternity confirmation. It reads like the season finale of a Netflix documentary." The visual is admittedly terrible. A Hollywood-adjacent laboratory, an overseas legal squad, and a strategically timed press release. It all coincided with a soft-launch media blitz, led by outlets sympathetic to the Sussexes. Through it all, the palace stayed quiet publicly while mobilizing internally. But now, that silence is beginning to fracture. If Horizon Gene cast the initial shadow over the legitimacy of the claim, MI6 has effectively pulled the blackout curtain shut. As the royal family wars over Harry's disputed DNA evidence, the so-called bloodline files have taken a much darker, more volatile turn. Sources connected to the SSC reveal that a classified intelligence dossier, written by former intelligence operatives, has been dusted off. Encrypted under the codename File Sigma, this report has officially been reactivated. The header is chilling. Disruption of lineal continuity, Sussex asset irregularities, 2019 to 2023. At the heart of this explosive file lies a specific payment, a medical clinic, and a mystery that could completely redefine what the Crown considers legitimate. It all points back to the 1st of May, 2019, exactly 5 days before the palace made their public announcement. Just as the news of Archie's arrival broke, Archewell LLC initiated a precise payment of $499,900. The beneficiary was a hush-hush fertility clinic just outside Tijuana, Mexico, renowned among the medical elite for its specialized surrogacy management, catering specifically to ultra-wealthy global figures looking for ironclad confidentiality pacts. This unnamed facility functions under a regulatory framework that bypasses the need to publicly list surrogate mothers, frequently handling overseas deliveries via nameless egg providers and tailored reproductive packages. It wasn't reporters or government auditors who dug this up, but a squad of ex-MI6 crypto specialists now employed by the palace within the so-called custodian unit. Their investigation followed the money trail from a backup Archewell LLC ledger, passed through a pair of dummy corporations in Delaware and the Caymans, finally hitting a numeric bank account in Mexico tied to a holding firm identified as Forscana Biomed S.A. Why did red flags go up? This wasn't for a standard ultrasound, claimed an operative within the unit. It was payment for a comprehensive surrogacy agreement, wired exactly 5 days prior to the official announcement of Archie's birth. For years, both fans and skeptics have argued over the infamous 2019 moon bump hypothesis, a widespread internet rumor suggesting Meghan Markle utilized a prosthetic stomach for her high-profile outings. Back then, major news outlets brushed this off as a hateful, bigoted attack. However, inside the royal residence, digital investigations kept going. Today, with intelligence-connected experts reviewing historical footage, fresh evidence has surfaced. 3 distinct images of Meghan from March 5, 2019, capture her at separate London events, one at King's College and the second at a philanthropic panel. In the first shot, her stomach looks large, tight, and positioned low. In the next, taken only hours afterward, her belly seems significantly reduced and sitting higher. with visible folds under her jacket hinting at artificial fabric, buckling. An internal simulation ordered by the Crown and examined using three-dimensional depth, scans determined. No natural gestation involves that degree of shifting mass and shape within a 6-hour window. Combine that with the account of an ex-royal employee who, under condition of anonymity, revealed, "The nursery at Frogmore Cottage remained spotless. We saw no birth prep, no supplies for after the baby came, not even a pump. The whole thing seemed like a set." This intel has triggered private summits involving Prince William, Princess Anne, and the King's legal counsel. Per royal regulations, any offspring seeking a spot in the official family registry requires a proven genetic link to a living blood royal, a delivery certified by the monarchy's medical board, and a continuous chain of paperwork verified at every step by official registrars. Right now, none of those criteria cover Archie or Lilibet, at least not universally. Still, this goes way deeper than just titles on a document. This isn't a question of child rearing, noted royal expert Dr. Miles Grayson. It concerns the integrity of the Crown's judicial and symbolic framework. Breaking the line of succession, even by accident, could nullify hundreds of years of tradition. Prince Harry, acting via his London legal team, released a sharp rebuttal late last night. Prince William is using suspicion as a weapon to stall justice for his family members. "We are not a kingdom defined by DNA swabs. We are a family. Archie and Lilibet belong to us and the House of Windsor." Privately, however, William's camp argues this reaction is just an emotional smokescreen. A source near the Queen Consort allegedly remarked, "Harry desires the perks of the title without the required oversight." But this institution doesn't operate on feelings. It operates on documented facts. On the night of February 11, 2026, a velvet folder labeled Lineage 1A Urgent Seal was couriered directly from Buckingham Palace to the Royal Registry Office. It contained an official order inked by Prince William, representing the Crown Succession Security Council, mandating an immediate freeze on the Agenras, Royal Household Ledger. The command halted all edits, new entries, or confirmations concerning Archie and Lilibet standing until the conclusion of a so-called full-spectrum lineage audit. Practically speaking, Archie and Lilibet are stuck in bureaucratic purgatory. This has escalated beyond a domestic paternity spat. It is a battle over constitutional legitimacy that risks unveiling years of hidden palace rules and tearing open old wounds the Crown had carefully masked with pageantry, quietness, and official photos. Dating back to Queen Victoria, the family registry has functioned as a locked archive, chronicling the names, ranks, and lawful standing of every Windsor heir. Yet, in modern history, no file has ever been suspended after being filed. Until today, insiders close to the palace lockdown protocols report that Prince William has officially pulled the trigger on Clause 6 of the PERS, Sovereign Child Declaration Act. First passed back in 1837, this little-known but powerful rule allows the heir to pause any claims to the royal bloodline if things get murky, disruptive, or legally messy. It is essentially the nuclear option for controlling the family tree, according to former archivist Edward Lonsdale, and nobody has touched it in more than a century. Basically, even though Harry is pushing hard to get his kids back into the royal mix using DNA paperwork, every title, inheritance right, and ceremonial privilege is now on ice. This move wasn't just for show, it had real teeth. The digital files for Archie and Lilibet were manually scrubbed from the active system, and the IT crews flagged the accounts to block any unauthorized updates. While William tightens the legal screws, another major player has stepped back into the ring from the shadows: King Charles III. Two top-level sources confirmed that a secret note Charles wrote in December 2025, weeks before his health checkup, was opened up at William's request. The details are classified, But the memo is real, and the subject line leaked, regarding Sussex children and the threshold of trust. Here is what we know. That document was locked away under level 4 security at Marlborough House. Charles wrote it, right after Princess Anne tipped him off about some timeline gaps regarding Archie. The file supposedly lays out a game plan if more forensic issues pop up. Insiders hint that the memo might give the green light to deny royal status to any kid whose birth wasn't officially witnessed. Charles was reportedly torn, according to an aide. As a grandpa, he was heartbroken. As the king, he felt the weight of the crown, so he let William make the final call. On February 12th at 8 in the morning, Meghan Markle's lawyers slapped a preemptive countersuit on the UK High Court, claiming William and the Privy Council are staging a hostile takeover disguised as a background check. In the docs, Meghan's team argues the kids hold dual U.S. UK citizenship protected by international law, insisting the Royal Register isn't a government agency and has zero legal standing to decide who is legitimate. They claim wiping Archie and Lilibet's names is a systematic erasure of their identity. The filing featured snaps from Archie's birthday bash in Montecito and a sworn affidavit from Tyler Perry, swearing Meghan carried and raised those kids herself despite the public hate. Still, the palace hasn't said a peep about the lawsuit. That silence is calculated. The family rift is wide open now. Princess Anne is reportedly backing William's hard line and wants an independent medical review board. Prince Edward is apparently uneasy with how ugly this is getting, but knows the firm can't be caught off guard again. Queen Camilla is keeping her head down, publicly, though she was heard behind closed doors saying, "The crown has to be bigger than the mess." As for Harry, sources say he is furious and crushed, feeling stabbed in the back by his brother and the home he left behind. One insider described a recent phone call between the brothers as brief, harsh, and freezing cold. A blocked registry, a secret file, and a brotherhood shattered. Now, with the lawyers tapped out and family bridges burned, this crisis has morphed into something way scarier than a paperwork dispute. It is a fight for the monarchy's very soul. Right in the center of this firestorm is William's shocking move to pause all titles and inheritance rights for Harry's kids, Archie and Lilibet, until a new ethics board finishes a total review. This group, the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, or ARLEC, went live on February 12, 2026. It is no longer just a concept, it is in motion. With the records locked down and the kids' status up in the air, William sent a formal notice to the College of Arms to stop using Prince or Princess for Archie and Lilibet. While it isn't a total legal cancellation just yet, it works that way in practice. The directive bans everyone from court staff and military reps to party planners from using royal titles for the Sussex kids in any official way. The memo states clearly that until the Crown is satisfied with the proof, the styling is suspended regarding any royal rank must be paused to protect the Crown's reputation. Sources claim the move was not decided carelessly, yet was viewed as vital due to the intense worldwide focus on the kids' parentage and the potential for future rights to the throne. Even more explosive than the status, though, is the haunting shadow of Lady Di's remaining fortune, which her revised 1996 testament splits evenly between her boys, ultimately their lawful heirs. However, since the kids' standing is currently frozen, doubts have arisen about getting their portion of the inheritance, valued above $22 million. Several insiders verify that the Prince of Wales has silently met with the administrators, discussing the chance of locking the Sussex offspring's money in a holding account pending the committee's final verdict. Such an action would basically sever instant monetary availability, particularly since the Duke allegedly depends on those funds for his family during the downfall of his business ventures. Privately, he calls this a stab in the back to him and his mother. She would never allow obsession over genetics to trump her affection for the grandbabies. He allegedly mentioned to a pal that she valued souls over paperwork. Still, royal counselors contend that it is exactly due to the late princess's history that this issue demands grave attention. "We aren't dealing with emotions here," stated a legal aide, advising the ruling body. "It comes down to financial duty and obligation until we verify the lineage." Managers have to be careful. Created by a 1975 decree, yet never previously used openly. The Special Committee on Bloodline Rules and Ethics has been cited during previous emergencies but mostly worked in the shadows. Now, for the first time anyone can remember, its 7 members are meeting together. The group features a pair of high-ranking peers from the Ethics Board, a former High Court Justice, the head record keeper, an Oxford expert on government law, the church leader's lawyer, and an ex-spy whose identity is secret. Their job is to decide if the ancestry of the Sussex kids satisfies the baseline for lawful, ethical, and ritual validity needed to keep or regain their status in the family. "It is not merely about genetics," noted an expert commentator. "It concerns faith, custom, and the throne's survival in an era of deep fakes." Insiders claim the investigators demanded every draft of the kids' birth records, flight manifests for the Duchess during the 12 months before each delivery, security footage near their home, and censored bank statements from their foundation. Should the panel find the deliveries failed to match the strict criteria mandated by inheritance rules, the consequences will be earth-shattering. The children could be erased forever from the official line. Any right to be called prince or princess would vanish legally. Upcoming diplomatic trips, celebration duties, or ritual participation would be forbidden. Claims to the grandmother's money might be voided or redirected. Even more seriously, the Duke could lose his Royal Highness status, since certain panelists see his behavior as possibly faking ancestry to gain system perks. The Crown has weathered controversy, banishment, and resignation, observed the expert. However, a fake genetic line would spark a societal judgment of unmatched scale. Surveys published on the night of February 12th reveal 62% of Brits back the inquiry. 47% think the ranks should stay frozen, yet 41% feel for the father, viewing the brothers' moves as administrative cruelty. Online, trending topics like #ArchieTruthFiles and #SheWouldHaveLovedThem are going viral worldwide. However, so is the tag, #Crown or Chaos. Time is ticking. The institution teeters on the brink of its most intimate legal judgment in 100 years. Past the wrought iron fences and inside the cyber strongholds of the Ethics Committee, a final ruling is currently being locked in. The core issue: are the kids truly lawful members of the dynasty? By the 13th of February, 2026, the dossier created following a 6-day audit of nativity documents, global money wires, and sworn witness statements is under the eyes of just 3 people: the heir, the Princess Royal, and the chief legal officer. Although the verdict stays hidden by palace rules, the personal, judicial, and diplomatic shockwaves are rippling out. The Duchess, who has kept noticeably quiet during most of the investigation, is allegedly getting a video statement ready to drop within hours of the announcement. Insiders on her defense squad verify her rebuttal will be blunt, intimate, targeting both the monarchy and the masses. Taped at her Montecito mansion just 48 hours back, this sit-down is slated to feature a tearful protection of her role as a mom, diving deep into her maternity journey and delivery stories, alongside claims that the inquiry stems from woman-hating, social prejudice, and establishment barriers. "I bore my own kids. I delivered them. And now they're being scrubbed from history," Meghan reportedly declares on tape. This goes beyond ancestry. It comes down to dominance, panic, and command. An autonomous American media group is handling the production, bypassing Netflix and Spotify entirely to broadcast straight through YouTube, Instagram, and various global networks. Insiders at the castle are steeling themselves for the fallout. Simultaneously, Prince William is crafting a rebuttal much cooler in temperature, yet equally monumental. A preliminary declaration headed "Regarding Ancestry" and "Institutional Stability" is supposedly finished and slated to drop within 24 hours of the stopped board's ruling. King Charles supposedly greenlit the core message prior to stepping back for health reasons. It covers the Arlec findings, Archie and Lilibet's standing in the ledger, and the monarchy's stance on prospective rank and inheritance rights for heirs born outside sanctioned protocols. William's camp describes the vibe as steel-spined, unwavering, and deeply intimate. One segment allegedly reads, "We did not reach this conclusion through spite, but out of obligation. I'd sooner shoulder the weight of public anger than hazard the decay of monarchical integrity." Confidants claim he's accepted the fallout, including a permanent break with Harry. Compounding the intrigue is one last curveball. Heathrow agents leaked a confidential flight log showing a private aircraft set to touch down on the morning of February 14, 2026. The manifest lists an adult man under the alias Henry Mountbatten-Windsor, accompanied by two minor dependents. Originating from Van Nuys, California, the flight is run by a low-key global charter service favored by the firm. No Meghan, zero bodyguards, zero media presence. Royal staffers haven't verified or debunked the document, but whispers indicate Prince Harry might be flying back to Britain solo with just Archie and Lilibet. If accurate, that's a massive play, noted court reporter Olivia Hart. It could be Harry's Hail Mary to prove these kids fit in, not just genetically, but physically. However, doubts remain. It might be a smokescreen, cautions a household source. This clan plays the long game, not tic-tac-toe. Media crews are already staking out spots in front of Buckingham Palace. A fresh tsunami of news banners is washing over Europe. Kids in purgatory. Monarchy ruling due the times. The prince and the die. Genetic files. Lily's vanishing heritage. Der Spiegel runs with Markle against the crown. Whose blood is it? Views remain deeply polarized. Some paint Meghan as a contemporary mom, flattened by archaic customs. Others regard William as the essential guardian of the institution. And plenty view Harry as the sad middleman, a guy ripped apart by affection, duty, and heritage. If the Arlex sides with Archie and Lilibet, the kids get restored to the official ledger, cleared to style themselves Prince and Princess, slotted back into the inheritance order, and qualified to collect payouts from Diana's estate. If the committee decides against them, the pair will be officially and eternally barred from royal standing. Every legal and ritual right becomes null. Trying to flash titles in the press or public sphere could spark a lawsuit. Prince Harry might even catch heat for false advertising. One last provision in the Bradas, RLEC bylaws permits the King or the Prince of Wales, in his place, to override the judgment. But every signal suggests William won't step in. He plans to honor the findings and lock them in as law. This isn't merely a palace drama. It's a worldwide lesson on heritage, influence, self, and reality. Two siblings, two offspring, a single ancestry. A solitary query that will shape the crown for decades. Does being born make you royalty, or does the institution have to validate you first? By tomorrow, we'll have the